made his announcements on cryptocurrencies, it did spur.
Our belief, which I think is shared by the leadership of Hong Kong, is that pretty much
that's a small part of the overall space. So if we're going to $100 trillion, how big is Bitcoin?
Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to see you again. I'm genuinely hoping you're crushing it today, no matter where you are in this amazing world of ours. Now listen up, because today we're diving deep into XRP, and I've got some absolutely massive news that just dropped. We're talking game-changing stuff here, people. There's an expert making waves right now saying you need to prepare for what's coming. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. So buckle up, because this could be the kind of information that separates the prepared from the unprepared. Let's jump right in.
So get this. They're diving into the whole digital euro situation that's coming down the pipeline. And guess what? It's directly connected to XRP. And here's the kicker. This expert's predictions, they're actually spot on. We're not talking about some wild speculation here, folks. This guy knows what he's talking about, and his track record speaks for itself. The pieces are literally coming together right before our eyes. And if you're not paying attention to how the digital euro ties into XRP's future, you might be missing one of the biggest opportunities we've seen in crypto. Ripple's swell, 2025 global agreement confirmed for crypto and global CBDCs. Take a listen to this.
Made his announcements on cryptocurrencies. It did spur a greater degree of urgency in the European Central Bank around bringing forward a euro digital. That's for retail, but they're also talking about a wholesale digital currency. That's one area that the European Union is looking at. So I think what's really important in all of this debate, though, we do want to unlock the potential of the technologies. So I think there has to be some form of global concept around regulation, and as Roberta says, without stifling innovation. But if crypto and stablecoins are to be part of international transactions, well then there has to be some form of international agreements in how we regulate. And that clearly is, I think, something that we have to talk about urgently, because the last thing we need is for there to be weaknesses in the system that could undermine the confidence in what we're trying to do. And that I think would be very damaging. So I just hope over the next number of years that like the OECD, for example, would have been the international organization that would have discussed the whole issue of taxation, for example, Pillar 1, Pillar 2. And I think that we do need to sort of step up to the plate in terms of having some international forum whereby we can look at these issues so that we can have seamless regulation that allows for what it's meant to do, which is to be truly international in the flow of money through crypto, through stablecoin, and through the traditional systems.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that jurisdictions around the world could agree on a set of harmonized global standards for crypto? Is that something that's realistic? Or,
well, obviously, look, it's very difficult, but yeah. I mean, like if the big players come together, like let's be honest, without the United States, without Europe in some form of agreement, well then, or harmonization of some form or another, well then it's going to be very disparate. So I think those two big blocks coming together would have a significant impact. But look, a lot of these things are political as well, let's be quite honest, I mean, people have varying views on these issues. You have changes in administrations across the globe, and they may have very, very different perspectives of it. So, but the one thing we don't want it is for it to become a very politicized issue either, because that could undermine the confidence of what finance should be about, which is independent of, particularly central banks, independent of...
Look, I've been hammering this point home for months now, and finally people are starting to get it. You simply cannot have this crazy patchwork of different regulations jumping from country to country. It's like trying to build a bridge where every piece follows different blueprints. Cross-border payments would be an absolute nightmare. But here's where it gets really interesting, folks. CBDCs are absolutely coming. That train has left the station. Now, the US, they're playing a completely different game. Instead of going the traditional CBDC route, they're betting big on stablecoins. And get this, the digital dollar, there's a real possibility it's going to come from a private powerhouse like Ripple. Can you imagine if RLUSD actually becomes the US digital dollar? Mind-blowing, right? But here's the thing that's holding everything back right now. This regulatory mess we're in. Once every country gets their act together and we have clear, unified regulations across the board, that's when we hit the gas pedal. That's when it's absolutely game time, people. Okay, this is absolutely massive, and I need you to really pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. We're talking about a complete game changer here. The head of Standard Chartered just dropped a bombshell statement that should have every crypto investor sitting up and taking notice. They're saying crypto is going to completely rewrite, and I mean completely rewrite, the entire global financial system. We're not talking about small changes here, people. Every single transaction running through crypto. This incredible insight comes to us from King Valex, and trust me, when someone at this level makes a statement like this, you listen. So let's dive right into what they had to say, because this could change everything we thought we knew about where this market is heading.
Our belief, which I think is shared by the leadership of Hong Kong, is that pretty much all transactions will settle on blockchains eventually, and that all money will be digital. Think about what that means, a complete rewiring of the financial system.
Listen, they're literally spelling it out for us. The new financial system is coming, and it's coming fast. But here's what blows my mind. People are still walking around thinking this is some distant future, like we're talking 10 years down the road. Are you kidding me? Let me paint you a picture here. Remember back in 2022 when everything hit the fan with the crypto crackdown and FTX collapsed? Back then, who was talking about this stuff? Russia, China, the EU, basically everyone except the United States. We were sitting on the sidelines while the rest of the world was already planning the future. But now? Oh man, now it's a completely different story. Everywhere you turn, everyone's talking about it. The conversations that used to happen behind closed doors in other countries, they're now front and center in America too. Here's the bottom line, future millionaires. They're not hinting anymore. They're not being subtle. They're straight up telling you that we are standing right on the edge of a brand new financial system. The question isn't if, it's when.
Hold up. This is absolutely incredible news that just dropped. And honestly, it's blowing my mind right now. Ripple's RLUSD just smashed its way into the top 10 USD stablecoins. And get this, we're talking less than a year since it first hit the scene. Can you believe that? Less than 12 months. But wait, it gets even better. This isn't just some small milestone we're celebrating here. RLUSD just crossed the massive $1 billion market cap threshold. We're talking about Ripple's dollar-pegged stablecoin going from zero to $1 billion powerhouse in under a year. Think about that for a second, future millionaires. In a market absolutely packed with competition, RLUSD didn't just survive, it absolutely dominated. This is the kind of explosive growth that separates the real players from the wannabes in this space. I've been calling this from day one, and look what's happening. RLUSD is steamrolling toward becoming the #1 stablecoin. And honestly, I'm more convinced than ever that we're going to see a major announcement down the road. Picture this. RLUSD getting officially declared as the US digital dollar. Mind-blowing, right? But here's what's really getting me excited. The speed of all this. We're not talking about some slow, gradual climb here. This is happening at breakneck pace, and there's absolutely no signs of it slowing down. RLUSD isn't just maintaining its momentum, it's building more steam every single day. It's like watching a freight train that just keeps picking up speed. Each day that passes, each milestone it hits, it's getting stronger and more unstoppable. This is exactly the kind of trajectory you want to see when you're betting on the future of digital currency. Future Millionaires.
Blair CEO Hugo Filion says, do more with your XRP.
Okay, this is where things get really juicy. He's diving deep into the yield opportunities you can earn from your XRP on Flare. And let me tell you, this guy is dead serious about locking up a massive 5% of the entire XRP supply on Flare. That's not small talk, people. Now here's what has me pumped up about this whole situation. Flare is offering some absolutely incredible options right now, and we're literally just scratching the surface. We haven't even seen Flare hit its stride yet. When this thing really starts firing on all cylinders, hold onto your hats. Listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. If you had a time machine and could go back to when XRP was sitting at 2 cents, would you back up the truck and load up? Of course you would. We'd all be kicking ourselves for not buying more. Well, guess what? Right now, today, you have that same opportunity with Flare before the real explosion happens. Don't let this chance slick through your fingers, future millionaires. Get yourself a solid bag of Flare while you still can.
Analyst, identical move to take XRP price to $13 by December 3rd.
Look, I'm going to be real with you here. I absolutely hate when analysts start throwing around specific dates and timelines. It drives me crazy. But let me break down what this guy is actually saying, because there's some interesting logic here. He's pointing to November 5th, 2024, when XRP kicked off that incredible rally that took us all the way up to $2.90 by December 3rd. His theory? History's about to repeat itself, and we're looking at a similar pattern. But here's where I think he's missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Last year wasn't just any ordinary year. We had a game-changing election. We got ourselves a genuinely pro-crypto president, plus a whole bunch of crypto-friendly politicians flooding into Washington. That was like rocket fuel for XRP. So what could actually trigger the next major breakout? Well, if Ripple drops some massive bombshell at swell, that could definitely do it. But honestly, I think the real short-term catalyst is going to be those ETFs we've been waiting for. Then you've got ISO implementation coming down the pipeline. That's going to add serious value to XRP. After that, we're looking at regulatory clarity finally happening. Ripple potentially becoming a full-blown bank, and, get this, a possible IPO in 2026. The dominoes are all lined up, future millionaires. The question is, which one falls first?
But here's what has me absolutely excited about these ETFs. And this is the part that most people aren't fully grasping yet. We're not talking about some one-and-done, flash-in-the-pan situation here. Think about it like this. Once these ETFs go live, we're looking at steady, consistent money flowing into XRP month after month after month. This isn't going to be a quick spike and then nothing. We're talking about sustained institutional money pouring in continuously. And speaking of mind-blowing opportunities, you're not going to believe what just landed on my desk. A major finance expert just came out explaining XRP's absolutely massive $30 trillion opportunity. I know. $30 trillion sounds completely insane, right? But when you hear the breakdown of how they're calculating this, it's going to make your jaw drop. This is the kind of analysis that could completely change how you think about XRP's potential.
Okay, buckle up because this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. We're diving into tokenization here, and when I tell you the numbers we're looking at, you're going to need to sit down. They're projecting a $30 trillion market opportunity for XRP over the next 10 years. But here's where I think they're being way too conservative, and let me tell you why. Arcax alone, just one company, wants to bring $30 to $50 trillion worth of real-world assets onto the XRP ledger. And that's just the beginning. We've got BlackRock jumping in with their tokenized assets, then you've got dozens of other major players all racing to get their piece of this action. But here's what really gets me fired up. If you think this $30 trillion is going to take a full decade to materialize, you're thinking way too small. This is happening in the next couple of years, not 10. Once tokenization really catches fire, and we're already seeing the sparks, it's going to be like an avalanche. Everyone's going to want in. Retail investors, massive corporations, your neighbor down the street. Everybody's going to be tokenizing everything they can get their hands on, because the opportunity is just too massive to ignore. Mark my words, future millionaires, we're hitting that $30 trillion mark way before 2035. This train is moving faster than anyone predicted.
Oh man,
Dark Defender is back at it again, and they're not holding anything back this time. They've just doubled down hard on their absolutely massive long-term XRP price target. And honestly, the way they delivered it was pure gold, equal parts encouraging and hilariously sarcastic. So what's this crazy number they're throwing around? Brace yourselves. We're talking about $36.76 per XRP. Yeah, you heard that right. $36.76. Now, here's what cracks me up about Dark Defender's style. They didn't give us some lengthy explanation or detailed breakdown. Nope, they just dropped it like a mic. XRP targets $36.76. That's it. Just straight to the point, no fluff, no apologies. And then comes the kicker, and this is where that sarcasm really shines through. They basically said, better get used to hearing this. It's like they're telling everyone who's been doubting these massive predictions to buckle up because this conversation isn't going away anytime soon. I love the confidence, future millionaires. Whether you believe in these astronomical targets or not, you've got to respect the conviction.
Now, here's what's absolutely wild about Dark Defender. This person lives and breathes technical analysis. They're always diving deep into those charts, finding patterns that most of us would completely miss. And get this, in a market that's been absolutely bonkers and completely unpredictable lately, where I'm constantly telling you guys that nobody can really nail down what's coming next, Dark Defender has been scary accurate. Time after time, they're hitting these calls when everyone else is scratching their heads. So here's why I'm actually starting to believe this $36 target isn't as crazy as it sounds. Think about what's lining up perfectly. We've got ETFs coming down the pipeline, ISO implementation getting closer, regulatory clarity finally happening, and massive institutional adoption ramping up. When you stack all these catalysts together, yeah, $36 XRP doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Now, when could we actually see this happen? My gut says we're looking at 2026, maybe even Q1 of next year if everything aligns perfectly. But here's what I'm really excited about. I still think we're going to see a serious run-up before 2025 wraps up. The pieces are falling into place, future millionaires, and it's getting harder to ignore.
Okay, hold on to your seats, because what I'm about to share with you might just be the most mind-blowing thing you hear all week. We're talking about what could be the biggest macro trade in human history. And I'm not exaggerating here. Picture this. We're sitting at $3.45 trillion in total crypto market cap today. That's already an absolutely massive number, right? But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The destination we're heading toward? We're talking $100 trillion. Some are even saying 100 plus trillion. Let me repeat that because I want it to sink in. We could be looking at the crypto market growing from where we are today to over $100 trillion in total market cap. This expert is breaking down exactly how we get from here to there. And trust me, when you hear the logic behind these numbers, it's going to completely change how you think about what's possible in this space. So let's dive right into what they had to say, because this could redefine everything.
But that's a small part of the overall space. So if we're going to $100 trillion, how big is Bitcoin in that? 20 trillion? 25 trillion? Well, there's 75 trillion of other value. And that's what crypto is. It's the technology part of blockchain. How else can you use blockchain? And it was smart contracts that really changed everything.
And if that crypto thesis plays out, how would you explain that to an institutional investor? How does that future financial system on the blockchain look like? Where do you see the biggest potential?
So in the financial markets, everything will go on chain. So all equities will go on chain, quicker settlement. We're seeing money going on chain in terms of stablecoins. We'll see every derivative will end up being an NFT because they're just individualized contracts that can be settled instantaneously. That's what prediction markets are. They're basically derivative markets. So all of this is much more efficient way of ownership, monitoring flows, security, everything. So the financial system will en masse move entirely to this framework, it makes much more sense. So, but that is only part of the equation. The financial system is just some of this. But we've got a world where we're now about to compete with AI in the world that we live in. So we're going to need digital ID. We're going to need proof of who we are. Okay, well, that's an 8 billion person problem to get solved fast. With zero knowledge proof technology and blockchain, we can do that at scale, and we need it. Then we've got the rise of AI agents. And agents it's like hiring somebody off Fiverr to build a website for you, do a PowerPoint presentation, all of this stuff. You ask agents to do it, but agents still need to get paid because they cost in terms of compute and electricity. So how do they get paid instantaneously at the speed that AI and the internet operates? The only way is blockchain rails.
Listen up, because this expert is painting a picture of our future that's both incredible and honestly, a little terrifying at the same time. He's saying everything, and I mean everything, around you is going to end up on the blockchain as a tokenized asset. Your house, your car, your investments, even that coffee mug you're drinking from right now. And you know what? He's absolutely right about this trend. Now, here comes the part that gets complicated. Digital ID is definitely rolling out worldwide, and it's going to work hand in hand with those central bank digital currencies we keep talking about. But I've got to be real with you here. Digital ID is the one thing that makes me seriously uncomfortable. We're talking about your entire life being tied to one digital identity. Your job history, your medical records, your financial transactions, everything. But here's where it gets really wild, and this is something most people aren't even thinking about yet. AI agents are coming, and guess what? They need to get paid too. These aren't going to be accepting your grandpa's paper money or credit cards. They're running on crypto, pure and simple. Think about it. You're literally holding robot money right now. We're heading toward a world where machines are paying other machines, millions of tiny transactions happening every single second of every day. And yet people are still out here thinking XRP is just going to chill around $2 forever? Are you kidding me? As AI explodes and blockchain becomes the backbone of our entire financial system, XRP's price has to rise with it. The math just doesn't work any other way, future millionaires.
Class action lawsuit filed against Michael Saylor's strategy over Bitcoin. All right, future millionaires, I'm sure most of you saw this bombshell coming from a mile away. A major lawsuit has just been filed against Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy over their Bitcoin investments and the financial advice they've been dishing out. Here's what's happening. Several investors have banded together claiming they were completely misled about crypto performance and what kind of returns they could actually expect. And honestly, this lawsuit is just the tip of the iceberg, as criticism of the whole digital currency investment space keeps ramping up. But let's be real here. Have you been listening to Michael Saylor lately? The guy's been telling people Bitcoin is literally space money and the only currency that matters. He's out there saying you should sell your kidney, dig through your couch cushions for loose change, even mortgage your house to buy Bitcoin. Come on, seriously? We all knew this Bitcoin crash was inevitable, right? I still think we'll see one more push upward before it really comes tumbling down. And here's what really worries me. What happens when Tether finally implodes again? Because you know it's coming. That's going to absolutely demolish Bitcoin's price and create a massive black swan event across the entire crypto space. But here's the beautiful thing about what we're doing differently. Anything that's not tied to Tether, it's going to bounce back lightning fast. Why? Because we're holding utility-driven cryptocurrencies. We're positioned in the cryptocurrencies that are actually building the future. Bitcoin is going to become completely irrelevant. Mark my words. But until that reality hits, we need to stay patient, stay positive, and keep our eyes on the prize. We're going to get rich together doing this the smart way. All right, everyone, that's a wrap on today's video. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you for being part of this incredible community. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing night, future millionaires.